The storm outside had barely begun when the storm inside her heart finally broke. In a quiet corner of an elegant restaurant in New York, Amelia Carter sat, alone with her hands trembling under the table, trying desperately to hold herself together. She looked like someone who had forgotten how to breathe, the kind of person who had been strong for too long, until strength itself became a burden she could no longer carry as the golden lights reflected off the crystal glasses around her. It felt as though the world moved on effortlessly, while she remained frozen, drowning silently in her own thoughts. That was the moment he saw her. The moment that would shift the course of two broken lives forever. If you believe in kindness, good hearts, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps this channel continue telling stories that touch souls. Ethan Hale, a man known across the United States as the brilliant yet private CEO of Hale Technologies, had only planned on stopping by to pick up dinner before heading home to his 7-year-old son. Lucas, being a single father, had taught him to divide his life into parts: work, responsibility, and whatever remained of his heart. But something about the woman sitting alone made him hesitate. Her blue dress didn't hide the exhaustion etched on her face. Her straight posture couldn't mask the heaviness she carried. And the way she stared blankly at her untouched plate pierced him with a strange, unexpected ache. For once, he didn't see her as a stranger. He saw her as someone who needed a moment of human warmth before she crumbled. Amelia had come to the restaurant with the intention of celebrating her small personal victory, a new job after months of financial hardship and heartbreak. Yet as soon as she sat down, the weight of everything she survived came crashing over her. The cheating fiancé who left her with nothing but doubt. The family that drifted away. The lost confidence she wasn't sure she could ever rebuild. A celebration suddenly felt impossible when the memories of her mistakes drowned every reason to smile. She felt invisible in a world moving too fast, unnoticed. Like a shadow blending into the dim lights of the evening, Ethan didn't walk toward her because he was bold. He approached because he recognized something he once carried himself, the quiet collapse of a wounded heart, and in that moment, compassion overpowered logic. He walked to her table, gently pulled out the opposite chair, and let his presence fill the emptiness around her. The sound of his calm breathing felt like an anchor pulling her back from a place she didn't want to fall into again. He didn't know her story. She didn't know his, yet something unexplainable made him want to stay a little longer, as though destiny had made room for two lonely souls to collide. Amelia glanced up, startled at first, but there was something disarming about him. Maybe the softness hidden behind his confidence, or the slightly tired eyes that held a world of their own. She didn't know he was a CEO. She didn't know he was a single father. She only saw a man offering silent company without judgment. That alone was enough to loosen the tight, invisible chains around her heart. The restaurant felt warmer now, the world less intimidating. She didn't feel alone anymore, though she hadn't said a single word. Ethan stayed just long enough to sense her breathing steadying. She didn't speak, and neither did he, but the silence between them felt strangely comforting. As minutes passed, he realized how rare it was to sit beside someone without the weight of expectations, without the need to impress. It was simply presence meeting presence, soul meeting soul. Eventually he excused himself with a gentle nod, leaving without intruding, still unaware that Amelia felt her heart stir for the first time in months. But fate was not done with them when Amelia stood to leave. Her head spun from exhaustion, and she stumbled near the entrance before she hit the ground. Ethan turned around, almost as if he had been instinctively waiting, and caught her, his arms wrapped around her with a steadiness she had forgotten existed in the world. Her breath caught in her throat, not because of the fall, but because of how safe she felt. For the first time in a very long time, he insisted on helping her get home, but Amelia, embarrassed and overwhelmed, avoided the offer. Yet Ethan's concern was sincere, and sincerity was something she hadn't received in years. Something inside her whispered that it was okay to accept help for once, so she did. The drive was quiet, peaceful. The city lights blurred into soft rivers of gold outside the window, and she felt oddly protected, sitting beside a man she barely knew. When he dropped her at her apartment and told her to take care of herself, she felt something unfamiliar. A spark of hope. Days passed, and they both tried to convince themselves the moment meant nothing. But some meetings refused to fade. 1 week later, Amelia received a call from Lucas Hale's school. She had been hired as their new administrative assistant. Little did she know that Lucas was Ethan's son. Their worlds collided again the moment she looked up at the school entrance and saw the same man walking toward her, holding the hand of a little boy with bright, curious eyes. The surprise on both their faces quickly turned into something softer, something almost warm. Lucas immediately took a liking to her. Children sense safe. Hearts faster than adults, and Amelia, who had always loved kids, found herself smiling more in the boy's presence than she had in months as days turned into weeks. Their connection deepened. Quietly, Ethan admired Amelia not because she was beautiful, though she was, but because she carried resilience like a hidden flame inside her chest. She had suffered, yet she stood. She had lost, yet she continued. She had been broken, yet there was a gentleness in her that the world hadn't managed to destroy. Amelia admired Ethan for a different reason behind his powerful exterior. He was just a father trying his best. He attended every school meeting, packed Lucas's lunch every morning, and somehow managed to run one of the most demanding companies in the country. He wasn't distant or cold like people assumed. He was patient, caring, and full of unspoken grief from a past he rarely discussed. Over time, friendship blossomed into something more fragile, something they both felt but neither dared name. The fear of losing what little peace they had, the fear of being hurt again, kept them from stepping closer, yet their hearts moved toward each other like two magnets, refusing to stay apart. One evening, when Lucas had fallen asleep in the back seat after a school event, Ethan offered Amelia a ride home. It was supposed to be a short drive, but the rain poured so heavily that he insisted they wait inside the parked car for the storm to pass. The air between them felt charged, heavy with emotion, memories, longing. Amelia confessed how much she feared trusting again. Ethan confessed how much he feared opening his heart after losing Lucas's mother to illness years ago. In that warm, quiet moment inside the car, their vulnerabilities aligned like constellations forming a new galaxy. It wasn't love yet, but it was the beginning of something sacred. Over the next months, they built something gentle. They shared dinners, not dates, just meals that tasted better when they weren't eaten alone. They attended Lucas's school events together. They celebrated small achievements. They supported each other on difficult days, and slowly, the invisible cracks in their hearts began to heal. One night, as snow fell softly outside, Ethan realized something profound. Amelia wasn't just part of his life, she was becoming part of his home. She belonged not because she tried, but because her presence filled spaces that had been empty for years. Amelia felt it too. She felt safe. She felt seen. She felt cherished. In a way she once believed she didn't deserve. But love, real love, doesn't arrive without fear. Just when everything seemed perfect, Amelia's past returned to haunt her. Her ex-fiancé contacted her, trying to manipulate her back into his control by reminding her of her doubts and insecurities. For a moment, Amelia felt that old fear swallowing her again, the fear that she wasn't enough, the fear that happiness wasn't meant for her, the fear that Ethan would eventually realize she wasn't worthy of someone like him. When Ethan found her crying outside the school building, trembling and overwhelmed, he didn't ask questions. He simply wrapped his arms around her and held her as though protecting something precious. And in that embrace, Amelia finally understood something vital. Being loved didn't mean being perfect, it meant being accepted. Even when she felt broken, that night changed everything. From that day onward, Amelia and Ethan allowed their hearts to move freely. They faced their fears together, healed their wounds together, and learned to trust again, not blindly, but bravely. Ethan didn't just tell Amelia she mattered, he showed her by choosing her every single day. And Amelia didn't just bring light into Ethan's life, she brought life into Lucas's world too, becoming the warmth he had missed for so long. Months later, as the sun set over the city and the world glowed in shades of gold, Ethan stood beside Amelia in the same restaurant where fate first intertwined their stories. This time, she wasn't alone, she wasn't broken, she wasn't forgotten, she was loved, she was home. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support means more than you know. Special request, comment below. Everyone deserves a second chance if you believe love can heal even the deepest scars.